Good day, fellas. In today's video I want to do a talking raptor. Today I want to talk about Wargaming's article, the Sandbox test, HE shells, feedback and reaction. This article already existed in Russian on Friday. However, I didn't want to do a video about it because I wanted to wait for the proper and real translation by Wargaming themselves, because, you know, Google Translate does have their issues with Russian language. So, the thing is about this HE changes. I already talked about a lot of stuff with my feedback video, which I tried to do as proper as possible, because it was quite a long topic to talk about. There were a lot of things to talk about. There were a lot of good things, but there were also a lot of bad things. In general, I personally came to the conclusion there are some good things about it, like the less damage against heavily armored targets. However, there are also bad things like HE grenades destroying and going through tracks, walls and spaced armor, and doing also zero damage. You can gladly rewatch my video or watch the video if you haven't already, because right now we are going to have a look at what Wargaming crystallized out of their feedback. What are the biggest problems and what exactly was the best benefits. Let's just jump into the article. This time I won't be doing my PowerPoint presentation, as I just want to talk about the article itself, and it's fairly short. Now, Wargaming themselves said that the numbers of players joined the Sandbox have surpassed all their expectations. That is good to know. That's nice to hear, because that means that we, as the players, are very invested into knowing what you as a company are doing to the game we most of the time enjoy playing. So yeah, the feedback that we received in the number of players who filled out the survey show that this topic is very important to you. Exactly, Wargaming. You are changing a core mechanic of the game to the better, in my personal opinion, but with some problems, with a lot of problems. Let's have a look at the preliminary results Wargaming gathered. Based on the preliminary survey results, we can state that the key aspects of the revised mechanics were well received. More than 70% of the reviews were positive. In particularly, players liked the following aspects: a significant decrease in the amount of damage caused by the reworked HE shells when they hit frontal armor of heavily armored vehicles, the improved UI for notifications about hits and penetration, and the ability to inflict minimal damage with HE shells when hitting armor. I do agree that all those things are good and well received. Obviously, the first one being a little bit of a double-edged sword, because yes, hitting heavily armored vehicles in the front doing less damage is a good thing, because it makes them be more durable. The problem is with vehicles which don't have weak spots, like Chieftain, like 279, like E3, like Kranwagen, like Super Conqueror, you know? They start to be a little bit of an issue. But let's see if Wargaming was able to see that as their current discussion topics. Furthermore, from your feedback and the preliminary statistics, we can say that the redesigned mechanic accomplished the intended goals and don't cause serious technical or design errors. Here the question is, I do agree that the techniques behind it do kind of work, except for, you know, the argument that it's more reliable. Because again, with an RNG-based aiming system, it's not really reliable. The thing, however, is I do see some design errors, and it looks like, however, that they are being addressed in the discussion topics. The biggest design error is, in my opinion, the fact that, well, right now HE goes through walls, through spaced armor, and through tracks, which is, in my opinion, a rather big buff to tanks like the FV 4005 Stage 2, as well as the wheeled tank series, because they have loads of very strong hash. During my playtesting, I found myself to have no troubles whatsoever playing the EBRs and doing loads of damage, because I didn't really have to aim anymore. I today played the EBR 105 on Paris, and I had to aim. I was loading hash rounds because I knew the enemy TVP was at below 500 hit points, 480 to be precise. I decided to go to his side and aim for the upper side armor to penetrate it and do the, well, 500 damage and kill him with one shot. That was working, and it needed me to aim. I couldn't auto-aim because the chances are I would just hit the tracks and do no damage at all, or very little damage on the test server. On the live server. On the Sandbox server, again, I wouldn't need to aim whatsoever, just auto-aim and boom, shots into the side. So yeah, this is kind of a design error in my opinion, but it looks like this is a little bit of a different aspect as they want to see it. Let's have a look at the discussion topics. The ability of HE shells to penetrate side skirts and tracks. Yes, that is very good that Wargaming did see that as a problem. The impact of the new mechanic on standard and premium vehicles such as the KV2, KV2R, the Stage 2 and others that use HE as primary shells, like Type 5 Heavy HE gun, like Hetzer, like the derp guns on lower tiers like the Type 6 medium tanks. The impact of reworked HE shells on lightly armored vehicles, because yeah, lightly armored vehicles got a massive nerf by those HE changes, because now they can get penetrated basically everywhere. Best example would be the Stridswagen 103B. It can get easily penetrated in the side now by HE rounds, which in the current live server isn't the case because there's a loads of spaced armor. Same would go for the Sheridan. The number of critical hits caused by the HE shells. That's also something which we discussed during our playtest back in December, that we noticed that because you can survive a lot more rounds, that you also get a lot more crew members getting knocked out. Another problem is because how spalling now works, or the tracing mechanics rather. The tracing mechanics is that right now on the live server, you hit the cupola, you can sometimes start burning because, or hit the cheeks of the mouse, you sometimes start burning because the splash goes into the engine deck. With the tracing changes which happened on the Sandbox server, I saw an E4 shooting HE at Object 268 version 4, hitting the lower plate, the massive lower plate, 300mm thick, doing 160 damage, but because the tracing now splashed into the transmission, into the engine, into the fuel tanks, it led to the Object 268 version 4 burning for a 900 damage, resulting in around 1000 damage just by one non-pen HE round. Yes, I do consider this to be a problem as well, and maybe Wargaming needs to decide to give HE less module damage, at least non-penetration HE. And lastly, the performance of high mobility vehicles that carry high penetration HE shells, in particular the wheelie boys. Yes, that is definitely a thing. I got a lot of questions from people which ask me, Raging, do you think that the wheelie boys were buffed or nerfed with those changes? After all, I do think that those wheelie boys got buffed. Yes, they do get more damage themselves, but it's much easier to get penetration hits with those massive HE penetrating rounds. So yes, those tanks got buffed, definitely. The thing is, one discussion topic is missing. What about hull down monsters like the Kranwagen, like the Chieftain, like the 279, like the Super Conqueror, like the E3? Tanks which do not really have frontal weak spots. Yes, the Kranwagen has small cupolas, but yeah, good luck hitting them. Same goes for the Chieftain, same goes for the Super Conqueror, same goes for the E3, same goes for the 279. Because right now the biggest counter to the 279 if you're a free-to-play player is to shoot HE or try to flank it, which is sometimes hard on certain maps like Paris or even Fisherman's Bay. So I don't really know, I'm really sad that this discussion topic is not put into this article, because this is one of the biggest changes, because I fear that if the HE changes one way or another come to the live server, that we'll have a period of time between HE changes and premium round changes where tanks like the 2.7, that heavily armored tanks will be insanely OP. The problem is though that it doesn't matter if those changes, come, there will be a meta shift for heavy armor again. And this is just something we have to agree on. The thing is, as soon or as long as a core mechanic gets changed, if it is crew, if it is equipment, if it is HE, if it is premium rounds, there will be some tanks which will benefit from it and some tanks which will not benefit from it. Type 5 Heavy, for example, will be a tank which will probably not benefit from those HE changes. The thing is though that the changes which are being planned right now really do benefit tanks which are already considered to be strong or even OP, you know? So I really want this to be also a discussion point. So if devs are watching my video, again, I had a comment saying they are a dev, and I cannot verify that. I would love to know if devs are watching this video. I would love to know if people are listening to what I'm saying. And the thing is, I only want the best for the game. And I want to also give a little bit of an insight of a free-to-play player, even though I don't play free-to-play. But in the end, the majority of the players are free-to-play players as far as I know, and they make the bulk of the players which are playing the game. And this is very important, and I sometimes feel like this is just my personal opinion, but sometimes it feels like that Wargaming forgets that every person started as a free-to-play player, and they decided to give money to the game because they enjoyed the game. This is how I started to become a person which invested loads of money into the game. Luckily right now I don't have to do this anymore because I'm a community contributor and get all the stuff stuffed up my ass, which I'm very happy for. But still is, if the free-to-play player base is happy and they see that, you know what, why not just buy this premium tank? I enjoy the game, so why not? This is how people become paying players, you know? So I feel it's very important that this balance between paying players and free-to-play players is being maintained. And this is why I still want to lobby for Wargaming to rethink their decision to not give Tier 9 reward to Tier 9 reward vehicles to free-to-play players. That it is locked behind a paywall on the Battle Pass. But again, this is preliminary and this might be a subject to change, and it's something I don't want to open right now because we are talking about HE changes. But it's something I just wanted to address right now. Thing is, this is just the first stage of testing, and this is very important, and I really do like that so far Wargaming is doing great job when it comes to their testing. You know, I play War Thunder. I enjoy War Thunder, and it's a completely different gaming experience. But Gaijin is absolutely useless when it comes to dev servers, aka the test servers we have. You know, their test servers are completely broken, have loads of missing things. They're basically just type generators for content creators, you know? That you show, oh look, this new plane has swippable wings. It goes whoop, 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 whoop. That's it, you know? But at least the concept Wargaming is showing us are very fleshed out and they are very good. And it's very nice to see when you compare it to a project or a thing which is, you know, a competition, a competitor. Because the competitors' test servers are garbage, period. World of Tanks' test servers are very often very well thought through. And they have very little bugs in my opinion, and really do show that they do a lot of QA before they send this stuff out. Which I have to say, that is very good and deserves an applause. And this is the same thing with the HE changes right here. They say we are still analyzing all the feedback, which is very important. And they say that in March, late March, early April, we will have a second iteration. Again, in my opinion, 2021 is going to be a change for World of Tanks, a big year. I was skeptical about Equipment 2.0, but after all, I have to say, yes, the core gameplay stayed the same. Yes, I still think that bounty equipment and bond equipment should have been the same, but overall, in 90 to 80% of the cases, I feel like that Equipment 2.0 was a benefit to the game, something which gave the game something positive. It changed, it definitely changed competitive gaming to the better. Like, it added to the game. And I have to say that even though I was skeptical about Equipment 2.0, it was very well. So now I have to think, will Crew 2.0, will HE changes, will the RT changes be as good as Equipment 2.0? You know? Because so far it does look like Wargaming is heavily invested into getting those things right. And I really, you know, really press my thumbs, you know, for them that this is going well. I enjoy the game and I want only the best for them. So let's see how this is going. But please, Wargaming, keep in mind, Chieftains, 279s, and if there is a meta change in making those tanks even stronger, you do need to consider applying some changes. Thank you so much for watching. My name is RagingRaptor. Don't forget to leave your opinion on those changes down in the comment section below. Cheers.